Ian, you did a hearty No Man's Sky review last time. It blew up on the internet, your review.
I did.
Absolutely went nuts. Some people at the time were maybe justifiably or non-justifiably talking about the elements of the game that were not included that have been publicized since on many threads, or Reddit threads have been taken down. Other people have been talking about claiming false advertising. Now, I'm not sure if this is connected or not, but there's a report that No Man's Sky, at least in the PC, has already lost 90% of its players.
And I don't doubt that it has, especially on PC. This chart that was posted on Reddit seems to imply that if you look closely at the lettering on the left, it seems that it's from the Steam database. And I think a lot of people misinterpreted my review, at least in the comments section. I don't think they listened to it all the way through, because I clearly stated that if anything that I said in the review did not sound appealing, and I said a lot of things that probably did not sound appealing, that to absolutely not buy it. And overall, without data that is necessarily PS4 inclusive, I would not be surprised if there are a lot of people who bought No Man's Sky at launch who are not still playing it. I'm still enjoying it for what it is. It's a game that I still play at night when I need to unwind. Vonnie enjoys watching it, and even though, a lot of the planets are the same, I still enjoy, or similar, I do still enjoy landing and exploring. It's not the game that a lot of people wanted it to be. However, that does not mean it is without its faults. It definitely begins to feel aimless.
Let's talk about the stats, though, on here.
Sure.
So when it launched, we're talking August 13th, is that?
For the PC, it launched on August 12th.
Okay, so this is when the stats started coming out.
Yeah.
August 13th. Looks like the number of owners of the game, roughly around 772,000, or let's just say 750,000, something like that. Then the number of players from this chart that were still playing it as of August 24th was only 25,000.
Yeah, it was inexcusably buggy as fuck when it came out.
So that's an enormous drop-off
Sure.
in only 2 weeks for a game that was either built up rightfully or wrongfully so. I mean, Sony pushed the hell out of it.
Oh, Sony sure did.
So, I mean, this is a game that for years was talked about, so it was going to be a huge deal. So for it to drop off the face of the earth like this, and we don't know if it's the same for PS4 or not. I'm assuming there was a drop-off, maybe not 90% or more, but something. This is a big deal. I can't think of the last time a game dropped this quickly, where people said, I'm not playing this huge game. Like this amount, I guess, of disappointment, you could say, like either because they think it was false advertising, which we'll get into, or because maybe they realized this isn't a game for me. Maybe I didn't want a game like this after thinking I did for literally a few years.
I think it could be a combination of both. I think even with elements in it that, or things that were not in it that were supposed to be there, like better space combat. I still think the general exploratory nature of the game, which was kind of always promised to be the focus, I think there were a lot of people who maybe landed and realized that they did not want to be planet researchers scanning flora and fauna.
They didn't want a prettier looking, almost Minecraft of just like putting together.
Well, you're not really putting together anything. I mean, it's literally
you're mixing minerals you find and things like that. You're crafting.
But you're crafting really basic things to refuel your ships and whatnot. You're basically playing a space biologist, is what you're doing,
which people weren't expecting.
I don't think they were expecting it to the degree that it happened. Like I said, at no point here am I saying people should not be disappointed with it if they were going in with different notions about the game.
So there was a Reddit post, I think at least 2 or 3 days after it came out, that long post. It was been taken down, but now it's at onemanslie.info, the original post. I'm not sure why it was taken down, but detailing all the things that were either promised in the game via screenshots, what Sean Murray, the main head, talking about them, or shown in past videos. And some I actually remembered while I was reading this list. So I'm going to go through some of them. You can comment about on if these are reasonable or not.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
The loss of planetary physics, which are said to govern many different systems, seemingly in a cascading effect from the top down.
Super bummer.
Retooling of ships to make them all functionally identical rather than having different classes.
One of my biggest problems with the game.
The reworking of factions, I guess that means alien factions, from something with broader significance into the very simplistic system we have now.
doesn't bother me as much as it probably should. I could see that being an issue with others.
Resource distribution following none of the rules that were spoken of. Instead, resource variety is more shallow than we've been led to believe, so distribution was seemingly homogenized regardless of planet-based factors, likely an effect of the loss of planetary physics. This also had a knock-on effect for trading, which was trivialized by the ease in which most resources could be found, and also crafting, which went from something Sean hoped would be community-driven, a la Minecraft, to something that could be done through recipes the game must teach you before you actually can use. And this is just the start of it, but there's links to all these, to YouTube clips and pictures that back up and support all these changes in the game. There's a lot more, which I won't get into. I'm just going to comment on the ones that I saw, I remember, like coming down from, rising from a planet after all this cool exploration, and you come up and there's a huge space battle going on between lots of little ships and warships and lasers going back and forth.
You do still see that.
You do.
You do. Yes, that still happens. It's just it's not as exciting as you think it would be. No, you can literally fly up and you can literally lift up and there's a distress beacon and you follow it and you do. You see ships swarming a larger battleship.
Okay.
And you choose to get involved. The problem is you don't really know which side it is, so you don't know which side you necessarily want to be on.
Is it a random event or is it scripted or?
Most everything in the game is a randomized event.
So they have randomized. They do have randomized battles that can.
Yeah, and certain star systems seem to be more combat heavy than others. Like I was stuck in one for a while that I found interesting, where I was being hostile scanned constantly, and it did seem to be like there were more of these battles.
The other big one I saw was they promised, or at least there was tons of video of huge dinosaur-sized, brontosaurus-sized creatures in the game.
I haven't really seen anything beyond like elephant-sized.
People are saying they haven't found those big sort of creatures.
No, I at this point firmly believe that those don't exist, and that's a bummer.
And people are saying that there's very few, I guess, like river and lake systems in the game that they come across.
I found very few. Yes, I did find a planet that was mostly water and islands, and that was very cool to find. Something that is more of a bummer to me, and this is going to sound maybe kind of lame, is I found a very cool planet that was a lot of water. Another one that was a lot of water that has lots of really cool arches, rock arches and stuff that look like almost like root tendrils going all over the planet. But you can't like take your ship down and fly through them, which would have been really cool. As soon as you go to fly through it, now if you were to park the ship, get off, you could walk all around these things, but I can't actually fly my ship through them and do anything like cool. I can't like be a space pilot, navigating through these things.
A few more. Landing on asteroids.
No, asteroids are tiny and you shoot them to mine resources.
Destroying space stations and fleets.
That I don't believe you can do.
Giant fleets of ships. I know what giant means.
Visually. Yes, for any real purpose, not to my knowledge.
Large freighters actually moving instead of sitting around.
They seem to sit.
Scanning planets from orbit. Was it? Looks like okay. It is in the game. Okay.
Yeah, that's in the game.
So, but a lot of this stuff, it sounds like it just was never incorporating. Trade ships docking with freighters. Faction alliances with significance. Large-scale joinable space battle between
I
factions.
was kind of pissed at first. I thought faction alliance would seem to mean something, and it doesn't really seem to mean anything other than it. I felt like it affected my ability to get better prices at first, but it doesn't seem to.
NPC ships launching from the ground. In-atmosphere freighters with battling. There's a lot more. Ringed planets. Sand planets. Planets rotating and orbiting around a sun.
Nope.
The technical possibility of flying between star systems manually. So again, not all this stuff was said to firmly exist, but a lot of this stuff was in either screenshots or was in prior gameplay videos or over the past few years. Naming ships. More natural flight characteristics.
The fact that you can fucking name everything but your ship kind of infuriates me. I'm not going to lie about
Resources depending upon distance from sun, environmental factors.
Well, there's no real sun, so no.
The ability to play the game solely as a trader or solely in space. Crafting that has complexity. That's probably, I haven't played enough to...
That's what I said. There is no complexity to crafting.
Find elements by checking galactic map. Animals and plants that eat meat. This seems to be in the game. I've definitely seen the pics definitely in the game. Okay, so maybe that's in there. Large creatures affecting the landscape. Creatures doing things they don't do in the game. So I guess there's pictures or video of
the creature behavior is either attack you or scurry around or get scared of you.
Let's see, portals, etc. in the game but not activated yet. There's large structures that are currently in the game. Sentinels in large packs. Ambient walker sentinels. Whoa, what's that source? Was that a picture? That'd be cool as hell to see walkers in the game. Oh, that was a video. So yeah, it's in a video.
Yeah.
It was gameplay from December 5th, 2014, on Hello Games. So this is the point. Before, there's lots of shit not in the game that was shown previously. So what does this mean? Does this mean that like they wanted to do this? Did Sony become involved at that point to save money into publishing this? And it was like, we want this game out at a certain time and that's it. You don't have time to put the rest of the stuff in.
It's possible.
Was it just pie in the sky stuff that they should never have showed, and they realized we can't really pull this off on a large scale other than in our demos?
It could be that this guy is the new Peter Molyneux, which is what a lot of people are comparing him to. He's that guy that I don't think he necessarily knew who he was. He was the guy, remember, the guy with the cube fucking tapping game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. He's the guy who created the Fable series. He was the scapegoat for Pie. I mean, not scapegoat because he was the same way. He was the poster boy for Pie in the Sky ideas that never played out the way that they were hyped up to prior. And this is basically the new version of it, which doesn't mean that people did not enjoy the Fable games, because people did. Some people did. Fable 1 and Fable 2. Fable 3 was a universal disaster. Which is to say, because I have a lot of friends who are playing No Man's Sky, all of them on PS4, by the way, none of them on PC, who are enjoying the game, once again, like I said, for what it is. Most of these people who are playing it, enjoying it, are people who do not follow games closely. I have to emphasize that. Just like when I see a game that I'm interested in, I kind of go on a media blackout of it. Most of this stuff that is discussed here, I never saw.
You never saw it?
I never saw or heard about it, so I wasn't expecting it. Which definitely changes how I'm going to approach the game, which obviously affected how I feel about the game in the end.
Sure.
But like I said from day one...
But if you bought the game for many of these reasons, if you looked at this, a lot of these elements would make it more like a privateer type of game or freelancer.
Oh, sure.
You could see how these people would be disappointed.
I never once said I don't see how these people are disappointed. Yeah. I mean, I said it in my review. I said if I understand completely why these people are disappointed.
So they're in trouble. Hello Games is in trouble because I think this is going to get worse. I think it's going to get better, and this is their first huge game out of the gate. A lot of times you might have used up your goodwill to this extent. A game that sold this many copies, and you have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people disappointed by it. I mean, people were talking about. We can talk about the refunds and what's going on. Some people claim that Steam was giving them. We're making exceptions to its refund policy. Other people saying actually no, it's not. There's still the same refunds in place on Steam for this game. Some people are trying to claim that they can get refunds through false advertising. Other people are saying, no, it's not. You can't do that. So, either way, I think it's a bit of a mess right now.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And I don't know where you go from here. I don't know how many of these elements that are not in the game that were promised on some level can be put back into the game quickly enough.
I personally think that it's too late no matter what.
And for the range of these, the only one that you can't complain about, which is the most unfortunate one, is that the lack of interacting with other players, because the universe is so big in this game that it's hard to find other players to begin with. So the less people that are in it, if you drop 90% of your players in a universe that has 18 quintillion planets, you're never going to see anyone then. It'll be like us seeing aliens here. The universe is just too big.
No one's ever going to find the Triceratops I named Treat Williams.
How many players have you run into?
No, zero. You don't run into players. You run into stuff named by other players.
But you can find players, though.
No, you can't. You don't. I from what I understand, you don't.
I thought I've seen you can run into other players.
Maybe.
It's just rare, though, because it's so big.
I've never seen anyone.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So
I never expected to see anyone. I thought you only could run into planets, systems, and like creatures and plants that other people named. Once again, see, this is what I mean, though. I never expected to be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's all in the same universe. You just got to find people.
Sure.
Right? But they're not out there. I think it's an ambitious game on paper, but again, in practice, it's like, what do we have here? Do we have a bunch of, like I said, off your view, is this like sort of the basis for how games might operate in the future as a starting point? Is this just basically a demo of great tools that can be used in better games in the future? Could be. And maybe that's what the legacy is going to be.
We had great games like this in the past on a smaller scale. Now we can see that we can do this on a larger scale. Maybe we need to rein it in a little bit, and we'll probably get something better in the future.
Maybe this will go back.
It won't be from Hello Games, though.
Yeah, maybe we'll go back to the fact that, procedural generated gameplay is fine, but you also need scripted events involved at a larger scale and more custom created tools. But for a team of only 15 people making this game, it's out of their hands.